Mouth Sports. I'm your host, as always, Preston Bailey. With me in his own studio, Vieira, and I am fired up. You thought I was going to calm down after me burning down SoFi Stadium and the LA Rams and destroying their $5 billion facility? Yes, you heard that right. $5 billion. Some experts say close to $6 billion. I have had it with Carson Wentz. I have had it. I have had it with him. The first show I ever did 5 years ago, it wasn't on YouTube. It was at a no-name studio in Tampa Bay. I don't even want to say their name, the Tampa Bay Community Network. They're a dumpster fire as well, by the way, okay? They're a complete dumpster fire.
I've heard the horror stories.
Okay, I'm not even going to get into the horror stories filming there, okay? That's why I got my own situation right now. YouTube has been great. Like and subscribe to the channel, by the way, I'm telling you right now, I'm not even joking. We've heard about Jake Paul, Conor McGregor. I would forget fighting for free, forget fighting for $50 million. I would pay to fight Carson Wentz. I would pay right now any money you want. I would pay to fight Carson Wentz. Oh, I want to rip his arms off and smack him with it. Carson Wentz is the biggest you've ever seen. Okay, this guy. I'll use the word baby because we're on YouTube, and I don't want. They're gonna. This guy. Okay, this guy. He has a dead cap of $59.2 million. We've talked about this a little bit, but we're going to dive deeper into this episode because this whole episode's about Carson Wentz. This is not what should the Patriots do here, what should the Colts do here, what should the Bucs do here, and then it's an also story. He is the story. I am angry. Number one, Carson Wentz's money is ridiculous. So if he stays on the Eagles roster next year, okay, if he drives into a ditch and breaks both of his legs. Now, I'm not wanting that to happen, to be clear. I don't want him to drive into the ditch and break both of his arms and legs. I'm not wishing that on him, okay? But it wouldn't surprise me. This guy is the most injury-prone, milky-mouth baby I've ever seen. If there was ever a guy that needed to be smacked in the face, if there was ever a guy that deserved to be taped to the goalpost and had Gatorade and powder like all they do to the rookies to a 5-year pro, it should be him. What are your thoughts on that, Cam, before I go too far with YouTube?
No, I agree. I mean, Carson Wentz is just, I don't even know how to put it into proper terms. It's just, he's fallen off the face of the earth in terms of his ability. I mean, 3 years ago, this is a guy who was probably going to win MVP if he didn't get hurt.
Yeah, people keep saying that. People love to keep saying that, but go ahead.
This year, he's been the worst quarterback in the league.
Yep.
The Eagles just benched him for a second-round pick, Jalen Hurts,
who
is 1-1, and even though they lost yesterday, he played a good game. And then he has the nerve to say he doesn't want to back up. Well, okay, terrific. That's good, as you would say. Okay, good for you.
Good for you. Good for you. You know what I would have done? If I would have been the owner or the general manager, anybody in the executive position, you know what I would have done? I would have burned his jersey right in front of him. I would have said, figure it out. That's what I would have done to him.
And I would have told the training staff, you're not allowed to stitch another.
I would have said, get this guy out of here. I would say, get this guy out of here.
He doesn't get it.
He doesn't get it. I understand you're a crybaby, and you know what? It's not about this year. There was rumblings well before this year that he was a baby.
His teammates didn't like him.
That his teammates did not like him. He's a crybaby. There's a reason he didn't go to Clemson. There's a reason he didn't go to Alabama. There's a reason he didn't go to LSU. You want to know why? Those top-tier programs didn't take him. Don't want crybabies. You got to be tough, like Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts went to Alabama, was a top recruit. Things didn't work out there because of Tua. He transferred to Oklahoma and had a Heisman Trophy caliber season.
Two great schools.
I'm telling you right now, Jalen Hurts, when they drafted Jalen Hurts, I said, I love it. When they drafted Jalen Hurts, I said, I love it. Because when they signed Carson Wentz to this deal, I hated that deal. I said, that's the worst deal I've ever seen. And they did that after Nick Foles won them a Super Bowl. Right?
Correct. Here are the simple facts of the case with Carson Wentz. 2017, he's having an MVP caliber season. He gets himself hurt. And you know what the thing is? I remember Carson Wentz's second career start was on Monday Night Football. And I watched that game. I don't exactly remember who they were playing, but I do remember what's the thing. This kid is talented, but he needs to because he takes too many shots.
Right. He thinks this is college, yeah.
His MVP year, he gets hurt. He gets hurt. He's down for the year. Everybody thinks the Eagles are done. Here comes Nick Foles. Not only are the Eagles not done, they didn't lose with Nick Foles. They won every game out that regular season,
Right.
and then obviously they won the Super Bowl beating the Patriots.
Right.
The next year, the Eagles are struggling once again. Carson Wentz gets hurt about week 14 or 15. Here comes Nick Foles in again. The Eagles win their last 3 games, and they win a playoff game. They beat the Bears.
Let me jump in real quick. Not to cut you off. Let me jump in real quick. So to set the stage, 2017, I'm going to quickly go over this to help you out here. So 2017, he was 11-2. Okay?
Correct.
Nick Foles wins the rest of the way. So that's the MVP season that everybody fantasies about. He had 3,296 yards. Okay, again, that's good.
Correct.
And it's not great because 3 games to go, you could say, well, he barely hits 4,000 yards. He had 33 touchdowns, which is great, 7 interceptions, 11-2, 60% completion, which is not great. Okay. The year after that, as you pointed out, he started off 5-6. That team was not going to the playoffs. He gets hurt.
Nick Foles came in.
Nick Foles comes in, bails them out. Did Nick Foles win a playoff game that year? I believe he did.
Yes, he did. They beat the Bears. The Cody Parkey missed field goal.
They beat the Bears. So year 1, this great season that everybody's in love with, he played a whopping 13 games, and he only completed 60% of his passes. And then the baby gets injured. So the baby gets injured. Nick Foles takes the keys, burps the baby, wins the championship. The next year, the Carson baby Wentz comes back. Okay, so 5-6, which is terrible. He then gets injured again. Nick Foles comes in, leads them to a playoff win. Last year, they're 9-7. He takes an absolutely dreadful NFC East, wins that division, throws a whopping 1 yard in the playoff game. And this year, he's 3-8-1. He's done a horrific job. Jalen Hurts comes in the first game, beats a very tough Saints team, runs for over 100 yards, plays great. This week, he lost to a tough Arizona team, but he played lights out, and he's the last Philadelphia quarterback since Michael Vick to throw for 300 yards and throw for 3 TDs, and he ran for, I believe, close to, and run for a TD as well.
No, I mean, he's been lights out. And I remember you said it earlier, back at the draft when they picked him, you said that was a brilliant move. In Philadelphia.
Jalen Hurts, we're talking about. Jalen Hurts, not Carson.
Yes.
Jalen Hurts is the brilliant move. Correct.
Yes. In fact, in 2016, you said you didn't understand why the Eagles traded up for Carson Wentz.
Yeah, I said, number one, I don't like guys that are injury prone. That suffer from lack of sacinitis, which he does. Look up the medical term, lack of sacinitis. You see a big picture of Carson Wentz's ugly red face and his ugly red beard. It's called lack of sacinitis.
And also your thing about traditional football schools.
And again, he went to North Dakota State. Again, Carson Wentz.
Where Trey Lance went, right?
If I were to be Dr. Phil for a minute, let me play Dr. Phil for about a minute. You take a guy with a big ego. Okay, he's 6'5", he's 235 pounds, he's got all the raw skills you look for, okay? The height, the size, the strength, the athleticism, all the check marks. Excuse me, he's also got the intelligence with over 40 on the world. This guy's got every box you can imagine. Why didn't he go to LSU? Why didn't he go to Alabama? Why did he go to some no-name? With all due respect, I love the people in North Dakota, all 14 of them, okay? Why on earth would you go to North Dakota State instead of going to a real powerhouse? You know what it is?
He's from there. It's not like he didn't want. It's not like he wanted to be at home. He's not from there, so you're right.
Where is he from, by the way? Where is he from? Do you know?
Let's look that up.
You look that up where he's from. But the point is, he loves being a big fish in a small pond, and I'm telling you, he doesn't have the blood of Philly. Philly wants you to be tough. Jalen Hurts has the blood. Jalen Hurts has the DNA to be great in Philly. Carson Wentz does not, okay? Carson Wentz would be great, San Francisco and Seattle.
That's where I think he's going to go, by the way, San Francisco.
You do?
Yes.
He might, but there's a lot of rumblings that he might go to Indy.
By the way, he's from Raleigh, North Carolina.
Yeah, again, Raleigh, North Carolina. And he goes to North Dakota State. So the last thing we're going to touch on, because I could do a 3-hour video about how much I hate Carson Wentz.
Let me just say this: his poor leadership. You've heard it. His teammates don't like him, and they played harder with Nick Foles in there those 2 years. This team played harder because they like Nick Foles because he's a likable guy. He's not very talented, but he's going to work hard and get the most of his ability. Right. And to copyright Colin Cowherd, when you're the franchise quarterback of a $5 million organization and you're sitting in a press conference like this, I mean, let me ask you
You
something.
look like a goober. You look like an idiot. Right.
Is this the way you want your quarterback? You're a Bucs fan. If Tom Brady came in his press conference like this, wouldn't you be like, "What the heck's he doing?"
I would think, what's he doing? It's about look.
Yes.
There's nothing wrong with wearing a backward hat, this and that or the other.
The
But
time
it's
and place matter.
about timing. It's about the timing and so forth. Like you said about
You
Dave
need to speak
Portnoy.
to your fan base.
Right. Exactly. And let me get to the money because I want to get to the money because the money is what's confusing people. He got that $100+ million deal. Okay, here we go. Stay with me. What everybody's talking about by next year, there's two things they're talking about. They're talking about the dead money, which is $59.2 million. That's what the Eagles would pay him if he's on their roster next year, regardless of what happens.
Correct.
If he does not throw a pass, he's going to get $59.2 million. There's one exception that we found. If they trade him to any team in the league, doesn't matter, San Fran, Indy, New England, whoever, Tampa Bay, whatever the crazy scenario is, doesn't matter. They trade him, okay? And let's use your analogy. They get him to San Francisco, right?
Yep.
Philly still has to pay him $34.6 million. $34.6 million of dead cap money. That means
snaps for another team.
Excuse me. That means he's getting almost. Let's round up a couple $100,000. He's getting $35 million to not play for the Eagles next year. That is their best case scenario. The best case scenario.
With Antonio Brown last year.
Correct. The best case scenario to be done with Carson Wentz is to pay him $35 million to go win for another team. 34.6 to leave. And I normally do not like that. I thought the Antonio Brown $20 million was crazy. I agreed in that crazy situation. It was worth it to get the $20 million, to get him off the books, to get him out of there. It's worth it for Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz is I hate to use the analogy. I hate to use this analogy, but there's no other analogy. He's a cancer in that locker room. He is a cancer. He is his negativity. What Carson Wentz represents is losing. Carson Wentz is a loser, and he represents losing. Every time you look at Carson Wentz, you think, that's the guy that couldn't stay healthy. That's the guy that we won the Super Bowl with his backup. Every time you see Carson Wentz's ugly red face, you think of, we can win with the back. Once again, Jalen Hurts is playing great. Why is that? You said this last week. Well, Carson Wentz was in there. Nick Foles comes in. They play great. Carson Wentz gets injured again. Jalen Hurts just comes in because of lack of talent from Carson Wentz, and they play great. Right?
Right. It's truly, I mean, it happens every time. He goes to the bench, the Eagles get better. And I know they lost yesterday. They played better than they played in any game with Carson Wentz this year. I don't know what it is with Carson Wentz because he should be an all-world quarterback. We've seen the potential. I think it's just, I think he needs a new start because he's forever going to be in the shadow of the Nick Foles statue and what they did without him. He needs to get out of Philadelphia. I'll just say this. There are no fans in Philadelphia this year, which means the artificial crowd noise. And in week 2, the person in charge of the artificial crowd noise played the boo track for him.
And I'll say one last thing, because people are talking about the 59.2. I don't want to get too deep in the weeds on this contract, but we explain it simply. $59 million if he's on the team, 34.6 if he's traded. Excuse me. And then also, I want to point this out. 2022, if he's traded, they still have to pay him $31 million.
Well, this is
I'm talking about the Eagles.
I'm not paying you $35 million to eat Doritos on your couch, and I'm not going to pay you to play for another team. He needs to restructure this deal.
If I was Philly,
I would team's going to give the Eagles anything on this contract.
Well, here is the thing. There is going to be a team. To let people know, San Fran, Indy, and New England, they would pay Carson Wentz $35 million a year because there's 2 years left on this deal. He would. You're off on that one. You're wrong on that one. Bill Belichick. Okay, let me help you out here. You got 6 wins. You got two to go. You're team the Patriots.
We've had the worst
telling me
in the league, right?
Right. Okay. You're telling me right now that Bill Belichick and Josh McDaniels could not work with Carson Wentz, somebody of his?
No, they could absolutely. If he restructured, they're not going to pay him $33 million. Yes,
no way. They are. You're wrong about that. So somebody is going to pay him. He's due 34.6.
Someone's going to take this contract on full.
Yes, I do. Yes, we're talking about. We're not talking about
a linebacker.
We're not. Look, is he worth that money? No, he's not worth that money. It doesn't
it's a
matter.
Position you got to pay for.
It doesn't matter if he's worth that money. Patrick Mahomes is getting $40 million. Deshaun Watson's getting $40 million. Is he worth that amount? No. But a desperate team like an Indy, like a San Fran, like a New England, yes. For 2 years, for a 2-year rental, if you want to call it that, for $34 million and then $31 million, a team, yes, I believe a team, you can argue about draft picks and so on. Yes, a team would take that salary. You're telling me you wouldn't take that salary if you're New England?
No. I would. I would take Carson Wentz here.
I'm telling you, Belichick would do it. Because Belichick does not want to win 6 or 7 games
again
2 years in a row. That I will guarantee you.
Well, I mean, something interesting today. Cam Newton
he would
did
take
release
a discount. I'm talking about Belichick, in my opinion. He would take a discount of his own money to bring in a Carson Wentz or whoever to not go through another 6 or 7 losing season, in my opinion.
I agree. Although, curiously today, Cam Newton released a statement in his weird Instagram font that he believes he's part of the future in New England. Cam Newton thinks he's staying. So We'll see what happens there.
Okay. And what does that mean? So he thinks he's staying. So what do you want him to say? I'm going to burn my locker like they want to do with Carson Wentz. I mean, well, of course he's going to say that. Of course he's going to toe the company line because you know what he knows? How many games do we have left, Cam? 2?
2.
He knows. And why
and everybody
Cam
in New
Newton
England
knows.
wants him benched.
Cam Newton knows the writing is on the wall. He's on the wrong side of 30.
He's done.
He's beat up. He's aging.
He's had
did he throw a touchdown this week?
No.
What was it? Do me a favor. Bring up his stats real quick. We've already gone long on this video, but bring up his stats real quick. While you're bringing that up, bring up his stats for this week. I just want to know yards, touchdown, interceptions, okay? And so while you're bringing that up, he knows he's in survival mode. He's got 2 games left
in his career.
Probably in his career. Because his career while you're bringing this up, his career as a starter is over. He has a 0% chance of starting more than being a fill-in guy. He's a fill-in guy. Because I've said this before, okay? Every year there's a new crop of 5 guys every year coming in. He's not better than Justin Fields. He's not better than Trevor Lawrence. He's not better than these young guys that keep coming in. He's just not. He's going to have to take a backup role. To me, he would have a value in New England as a backup. He knows the system. He's fairly mobile. He could fill in for the rookie, the Wentz, the whoever. Okay, that would be fine. Go ahead.
Cam Newton yesterday, 17 of 27 for 209 yards. He threw for 200 yards. What a freaking concept.
Who cares? 209 yards sucks. I'm not going to – what do you want me to do? Go ahead.
Well, wait, because there were games a few weeks ago he was throwing for 85 and 90 yards. So that's why I said, wow. He was sacked 3 times, no touchdowns, no interceptions, 1 lost fumble, a QBR of 25.
Again, no passing touch. Did he have a rushing touchdown?
No.
Okay.
No.
So what are we doing over here? Okay, X out whatever you're in there. Just X out of that because we're getting all kinds of wild ads and everything else. But the ads are going crazy here. Like and subscribe to the channel. There you go. Like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks again.
Thank you.